Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and this time we're going to take a look at Reactivated Series 1 Superman. Again. I just wanted to do a quick update video on what I did to fix this guy up. He's just never going to be a perfect figure because of the condition he was in. But I think I've managed to really greatly improve it from what came out of the box. So if you watched my review of this figure, you know that he was kind of riddled with some problems. He was missing his right hand. His left hand had been glued, so it had no articulation. His head's a bit wobbly and had some of his little issues. And then basically the whole leg area was just messed up. really loose joints, a little bit of warping. And if looking at the figure in that video, he is kind of just slanted to the side. He's got like a bent knee, and that was the only way he could stand. And so he's looking a bit better today. I think I've pretty much finished up what I'm gonna do with him. Maybe a little bit more tweaking, but not much. So I figured I'd do just a little update. So as you can see, looking at his legs, it still looks like this leg is a bit warped. I don't know what it is with this guy. I honestly think that this leg may be slightly longer. Just the mold was screwed up. I don't know what happened. I tried boiling some water and popping him in there and kind of reshaping it, and it didn't seem to help. Nonetheless, he is standing a lot better now that I've hit him with some super glue. I took some super glue and stuck it into his knee joints, front and back, his leg, hip, and hip joints, and his ankle joints, both ankles. And you kind of just squirt it in the joint, and you move the joint back and forth until the glue dries, and that basically fills in some gaps in the loose joints so they don't just completely bend at their own will. So before, I would set him down and his ankles would basically just cave under his own weight, and now they hold up a bit better. I didn't really mention this in the first video. I guess I hadn't noticed, but his right ankle, let me see if you can see it. His right ankle is good, and this is what a good ankle looks like. The boot, it's nice and tight. The joint is nice and tight here. I mean, it was still loose moving wise, but the actual plastic fits in tightly. Sorry. This boot, as you can see, it's kind of like flared out at where the peg is. So no matter how much super glue I shoot in here, it's really not helping. See, you can see this gap here. I don't know why the colors are so bright. I'm sorry, the lighting is a little weird, I guess. But yeah, so no matter how much super glue I shoot in there, this one's still pretty loose. I mean, it is better. It definitely helped. But in the process, I've managed to get super glue kind of crust all over. It's not awful, but it's not very nice either. But yeah, that definitely helped out his leg joints so that he can stand better, and as you can see clearly. And just a word of advice, if anybody's going to be working with super glue in the joints, I definitely suggest having this around. Goof Off. It's a spray, a water-based spray that gets rid of all this stuff, but most importantly adhesives. So you kind of spray that on as the super glue is drying, and you rub it, just gently rub it with like a cloth, and it'll pick up the residue that it leaves behind. I mean, I tried as much as I could on this one, but this left some residue behind. But for the most part, I got all the residue off the other joints with this stuff. So it worked really well. I don't know if Goo Gone would be a good idea because it's oil-based, not water-based, so it might leave a bit of a mess. But you could try that as well if that's what you have. So he's able to stand better now because of that. His head, I did not do anything to his head. and I will tell you why. If you remember me mentioning he had a gap, he has this gap, this is why. His head, the ball is in his head, and the open joint is in his neck. I've never seen an action figure with a head like this before, so I'm unsure how to really... So this is why there's a gap, obviously. It's part of the neck, so when the head isn't going far back enough, it just doesn't cover it. I'm unsure how to handle this, really. I don't know if filling this in a little bit with some sculpt would help, but, so his head just kind of... It'll stick in certain positions, like this one, and then down, and, you know, mostly down. It won't really go far... It won't go, like, straight back. You have to kind of tilt it to lock it into a pose. I mean, it's not the end of the world, so I'm not really fussing with it. It's a functional head, it's a beautiful head, really good sculpt. So, you know, I'll just leave it at that. Now, the most exciting part, as you can imagine, is he has 2 hands. And they both are articulated, and they swivel. I'm sorry, they don't swivel, they rotate. Now, this took a lot of work. And they don't swivel side to side, which they apparently did do in the original figure. I saw this in Stu's review. He did swivel them, but I was unable to really see how it worked because, as I said, this hand had broken off and this one was glued. So I couldn't see how it was supposed to work at all. And I wasn't able to use any of the original, really, pieces to fashion these new joints. And the pieces that were in the hands were these plastic pieces that they just completely broke. So I wasn't able to use them. But I understood how the joint worked, so I worked from there, and I recreated that joint, this rotating wrist joint, which, by the way, I don't really understand why they would do this in the first place. I mean, I can see for, you know, straight ahead is going to be mostly what you're going to use for this, and then maybe this way while he's, like, punching, you know. As far as back, I don't know when you'd ever use that, but I wanted to have some sort of articulation instead of just super gluing it on and calling it a day. So I recreated the plastic circular joint. I cleared it out and I left the peg that they had in there. I recreated the joint with blue plastic twist ties. So these are, you know, kind of a flat shape. They have a thin wire running through for support, and I was able to easily bend it into the shape I needed to wrap around that peg. So I took these and I wrapped them around the peg, and I super glued this closed to form a circle. And I then took the hands, which had small pegs on them, just really short pegs on them, sanded them down to be short enough to fit into his wrists, and I sculpted them on to the plastic twist tie joint I had made. So I sculpted them on using epoxy, which is a 2-part modeling compound. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is awesome. It's good for anything. I also used this to fix the broken joint that was in Black Mask's shoulder. Sculpted the 2 pieces back together. You know, you can sand it, paint it, anything. So I used that to sculpt the hands onto the plastic twist tie. And after that, I painted it, made sure that they were moving back and forth, and yeah, so you can see now he has, you know, it's just sculpt that's painted blue, and he can move his hands around like this, and doesn't have the swivel. I had no idea how I could have done that in this small of an area, but you know, up close, it's not the most attractive solution, but from far away, you don't even notice, I don't think. He just has, it just looks like he has, you know, blue sleeves that are going down to his wrists. So, yeah, I mean, after all of that work, I think he is presentable enough for display, you know, I mean, from, he's on a shelf and somebody's looking at him, they're not going to be looking up close at his wrist saying, oh my god, what is that sculpt that's there? They're going to say, cool, he has wrists, whatever. So I was just, you know, I didn't want to just super glue the hands on, even though this articulation's almost useless, like, it's a really strange articulation. It was a challenge for me that was exciting to take it on and, like, try and figure this out, first of all. And second of all, like, he has these, you know, these peg holes that, had I just, like, super glued the hands on, you'd look at them and you'd say, okay, he's supposed to move, why isn't he moving? So, I just, you know, I want him to function as he looks. And, so, yeah, he does. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess that's all I have to say about him. You know, it was disappointing, really, to get such kind of, like, a dud out of the package, but I think he's definitely improved over that now, and I'm happy I was able to fix him up to this degree. And, yeah, I mean, if we ever spot him again in a store, you know, whatever, like I said, loose, because then you know his hand's attached, maybe pick them up again. I don't think I'd ever pick up a reactivated one again, because I haven't seen anybody review this one, but I've seen people review the others, and they never mention having these problems, so I'm thinking it was probably a quality control issue with the reactivated series specifically. But, yeah, so if I ever see a different one, maybe I'll pick it up. In the meantime, he definitely looks improved, in my opinion, so, I said this was going to be a quick update, and it really wasn't, so 12 minutes later. Sorry, guys, but, yeah, if you made it through, thank you for watching and sharing in my happiness, my success. I hope you think he looks as good as I do, and I'll be back with some reviews later. Thanks for watching again. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.